All right, so I read the two articles in the video, and the common theme between all three of these I saw were perceived competence, which is by definition the extent in which a person feels he or she has the necessary attributes in order to succeed. So in the video, it was about motivating students, and they talked a lot about giving students choice. I think giving students choice is something I need to learn how to do more in my classroom. And I thought something that was very interesting was the PRAISE acronym, which was very cool. And that stands for perceived competence, relatedness, autonomy, individuality, social support, and enjoyment. While doing games and telling kids to do like 10 jumping jacks if they get out of the game, or going back and like giving them choice to what exercise to do or how many exercise they should do. And that's something I think I can implement really well in my classroom. And then allowing students to try something new if they want to, just not if they have to. So there's a lot of things they're going to try in PE that they don't have at home, which they'll see and might be able to might get scared to try in front of other people. Which like juggling. A lot of kids don't know how to juggle, and they don't see juggling as just one scarf or two scarves. They always see juggling as three or more items. So telling kids to start slow and start with one scarf, and then moving to two if they want to, and moving to three, um, so they can build their confidence up in those two levels, and they don't feel embarrassed or think they can't do something. And I think talking about that power of yet, like you can't do that yet, um, will get kids to be more confident in trying new things. And I do believe implementing this in a way to choose for them to choose their units would be really cool, but I don't think that is very um, accessible in elementary since they need a little more guidance. But this is to help students become more self-motivated and have more of control over their education. I think that is very cool to have like in a high school level. And then just providing maybe for those competitive classes or those older fourth and fifth graders that have some competitive students, creating those two games where they can have a competitive game and a recreation game would be really cool. And I think the key concepts that I found out of this video were giving students choice and using that to motivate students, the praise acronym that I talked about, and then also pushing students to try new things and not and knowing that making mistakes um, is something everyone will have when you learn new skills, and making sure they're not scared to try and never saying can't and using that power of yet. And then allowing students to evaluate what games and activities they like. So creating a survey would be really cool at the beginning of the year, what games, and they can teach me how to play games if they played games with their past teachers that they really liked, and teaching them to me would be really cool. And then in the article called Relationships of Enjoyment, Perceived Competence and Cardiorespiratory Fitness to Physical Activity Levels of Elementary School Children, was a really cool article to read because I am an elementary school PE teacher, and they talk about strategy and theories to implement more in the teaching. So just like we talked about the power of yet, just letting kids know it is okay to fail and using that self-efficacy and motivation and different perceptions to make everything more positive based on their effort and confidence will teach students that physical activity is something that you will obtain over time so that they can build their own self-confidence, especially after COVID and having kids not really have those social skills yet to encourage others and be kind to one another. It needs to be taught now because they just haven't had that social face-to-face interaction with other peers. And then making sure they're just giving compliments and encouraging others to build an environment where it's positive and student growth is an expectation and not just something you want to talk about. So some key concepts that I thought were cool were the expectancy model, which is the individuals' beliefs regarding their success and the value of that activity they feel. So the persistence in their performance, the self-efficacy theory, the different aspects of self-knowledge, their conceptions of how their behaviors and motivations are judged, so by their peers or by me. So make sure their grades aren't, they know their grades aren't reflected on how well they do, but how well they're trying, the effort they're giving me in the classroom. And then the use physical activity promotion model is the children's just developmental psychological and behavioral characteristics that promote physical activity and the relationships between physical activity in elementary school children and how they enjoy and their perceived confidence in their physical activity. And the second article I found the most new thing that I thought was really cool was the unstructured physical activity. It was kind of hard to imagine in an elementary school class, but I was very intrigued. So I wanted to talk, and so different unstructured time they're going to have is like recess. And in PE, it would be kind of hard to have that unstructured time where they're actually focused on one thing. But having those stations would be really good. And then integrating it into something that I would like to try in my throwing and catching unit soon. And then just to apply that in the classroom. And the key concepts were just the structured time, the unstructured, so giving them time to collaborate with peers. And I think I give a lot of that time at the beginning of class. Every class we'd start with a walk and talk. So they get to talk with their peers, they get to use the bathroom, they get to get water if they need to before class. And I think that gives them a chance to create relationships with me and with their peers as well. And then another key concept in that article was learning objectives to promote physical activity. So those learning targets, explaining those to the kids, what we want to get out of these lessons. And then some two instructional ideas that I think that I want to really incorporate to promote motivation is I started doing this thing called a WOW challenge. So every day they self-reflect on their way out of class. And so it's Ben Landers. He has a blog called PE Specialist. This is where I learned this from. But he has a self-reflection sheet out of every door outside of his door. So every day at the end of PE, they line up on their way out. When their teacher picks them up, they'll hit one of the self-reflection sheets. So the top one says wow. The next one says good job. The third one says need more effort. And the last one says keep on trying. So just giving them a chance to reflect and giving me a chance to see how they're feeling in PE and how they're feeling with that unit is really good. And so we do a WOW challenge every day. So there's a challenge in class where if they complete the WOW challenge, they get to hit the WOW, and then everyone else will hit the good job if they feel like they did their best and gave me their full effort. And then keep on trying and need more effort is just to see if they're actually feeling down about the unit, or even if they're just feel like they might not follow directions that day, then they would be able to reflect on what happened in PE that day. And then I always start the day with saying, do your best, forget the rest. And I think that allows them to understand that all I ask of them is to do their very best and try their very best. And I'm not looking for everyone to be a professional athlete in PE. So, yeah, and that is my discussion on 3 articles.